K1GMM now.
Tonight on K1GMM Live, all things audio, TX, and receive Q&A. Special guests include nobody. Please stand by for a word from our sponsors. Right, we don't have any. We are going to progress along. Hope everybody is doing well. Steve, K1GMM. I figured I would try this and see what happens. I'm going to do this probably over the next month. And I did post it on the website, and maybe this will give people a chance to ask questions regarding all the stuff that I've been working on, and if they want to venture down this road. So this whole thing, I'm going to do it over probably the next few weekends, like I said, and then we'll be whatever. I may pull the plug on it. Who knows? So I do get questions throughout the week through the website. I've been monitoring the website today, and it's getting hit constantly. So I did put a notification on the main page. So we'll see. Anyways, I'm going to check into the chat, and this is going to be strictly chat driven tonight. So, and participation is encouraged, even experiences, because I will leave the chat active. It's actually, as you can see, I'm going to have the chat on the screen. So even if people don't have the chat pulled up on YouTube, they'll be able to see the questions, comments. If anybody has anything to add, please do. That's what this is all about. I am not an authority on this, but I figured I would give people an opportunity to ask questions. Maybe I can help them because, like I said, I have to get me a pair of regular glasses because these are magnified and I can't see a thing with these on. So they're out of here. Anyways, not sure who's in here aside from the chat, but good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, wherever you are. Doug, Dr. Detroit. Hey, what's up, WX or SEX? John Boy, ON8EI. Good to see you, man. I am not a retired stockbroker. No, I am not. I wish. Not smart enough. Tin Top Adventures, M7DWW. Good to see you in here. Don't forget to put your names in because I'll never remember call signs. I like, let's personalize this a little bit. Go ahead and put your name in. Glenn, what's going on, dude? Kevin, Montpelier. Hey, good to see you, Kevin. And Paul. Hey, Paul. Hope you had a good weekend. N4XLD. I should have had the soundtrack. Soundtrack from, oh my gosh, who did Sharp Dressed Man? Sharp Dressed Man. Come on. ZZ Top. Ah, got it. Total brain out. DK5ONB. Hey, Uncle Gunter. Two-prong crown. Yeah, it's a red crown, right? And, yeah, happy Sunday evening to you and the Godfather. There he is, Veets, the Godfather. Everything that you see here regarding my appearance is all because of him. So you can blame him for that. Hey, Dave. Court hearing. Jeez, dude. You've heard of such a thing as an omen, right? Don't be saying stuff like that. Holy cow. Eddie, how's it going? Tin Top Adventures. Duncan, got it. And Todd, A6 SUD. Okay. I'm going to run this for about a half hour. I figure 30 minutes. If there's no questions and there's nothing there, I'm going to rip the plug out. And then we'll try it again next week. It may take a little bit for it to take off. And hey, JPX. Hey, James. Ottawa, good to see you in here too. So I can give you updates in the meantime. I've been, I don't know if you guys saw, I know probably Godfather did, and maybe a few you did, but I'll kind of give you a rundown as to what's been going on over the past couple of days. So I almost put the rack back in line. And this is kind of important what I'm about to say. And so folks that visit the website, I got a question today. Should I go virtual or should I go with a rack? Well, as far as audio goes, right? TX audio. Yes, it does, James. It does. It's real time. It's real time processing, hence the reason why it can substitute a rack and I can push the audio straight into the rigs. So with that being said, I was listening to an old video of mine. And it was one of the ESSB videos. And I think sorry about the noise. I was going through the rack and I was showing the different things I had in there and different settings and stuff like that. So I noticed my audio that was in OBS was really beautiful. So what I can do, James, let me finish this quick and then I'll hit you and I'll keep this brief, I promise. So I noticed that the audio had a very tube sound to it. Very nice. Kind of, you know when you hear something and you get kind of, the only way I can describe it is like a warm and fuzzy feeling. And I realized at that point, now I knew this anyways, working in the studio. There were two different approaches, especially with guitar players. I worked with guitar players that use like direct boxes that were strictly solid state. And then I work with other guitar players that refuse to use anything solid state. And they were all on valves, Moss valve, Marshall, you name it. Mics jammed into the front of them, traditional, right? And it took me a while to understand, to really listen to the difference. Now, yes, you can get a very nice sound through solid state gear, but it's very difficult to emulate that warm valve sound. It is. It's very tough to do. I'm talking in the music realm. So I'm listening to my audio and I'm thinking, and I was on the rack at the time. I was like, good Lord. I almost gutted the computer and everything, took the DAW out and put the rack back in line. So fast forward to a couple hours later, I found, you can go back in the channel, look at the plugin that I found, and it's basically a tube emulator, and it works really, really well. And it's like throwing rocket fuel on your audio. It's really killer. Best thing I found yet to date as far as DAW type stuff. So the point of that is when I get a question like, and this is what I want anybody watching this to think about, okay? Because this is real. And if your ear, a person who's not used to this may not hear the difference. I could hear it immediately. Immediately. I was like, wow, huge difference. So, and I was running a tube preamp with all analog rack gear. And then that came in through a cable into the sound card, and then it's piped to the different radios virtually, but the processing of it was in the analog realm using tube processing. So when someone asks me, what should I do? Should I go with a rack or should I go with a DAW? Here's my take. Number one, no matter what you do in the digital domain, it's extremely difficult to get the same sound unless maybe you pay a lot of money as you'll get from analog gear running a tube preamp and tube processing. It's very difficult to do. There's a certain solid state brittleness to digital audio. You just can't help it. I noticed it going from like open reels in the recording studio to digital audio recording, even through like ADATs. Supposedly, wow, this is the new thing. Well, if you want a perfect example of this, I'll end it with this, then I'll get to the questions. So if you want a perfect example of this, type in Simon Phillips. It's called Simon Phillips has a recording studio. It's called, I can never remember the name of it, Bareback Studios or whatever. Or type in Pentangle, Simon Phillips Pentangle. It's live sessions recorded on like 2-inch, 24-track open reels, all analog, currently. And listen to that. Put on a good set of cans and listen to that, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So, anyways, someone asked me, that's one issue. The sound of it may be something you'd consider later. The huge drawback to Rack Gear is the cost. The only thing you need really is a sound card to run a DAW. The DAW I run is free. So those are the two major things. Huge amount of cost to get what you can, to do what you can with a DAW. If you were to do that with a rack, it would cost you a lot of money. And I'm using all free plugins. The only thing I paid for is the sound card. That's it. So there you go. All right. Let's get over here. James, does your DIA? Yes, it does do processing in real time. Okay, let me jump over to another screen here, and I will show you what it looks like, James. So let's see, I think it's this one. No, it's this one. What's going on here? Oh, I'm on the wrong, Oh, that got jacked. So that's okay. What I'll do is I'll just drag it onto that screen if it's going to be a dink. So let me get back to this one. No, wrong one. There we go. Get back to this one. I'm going to drag this over. So that is the DAW. And so for those of you that have never seen a DAW before, what you have the capability of doing is processing information in real time, audio in real time, and then piping it to different devices in the computer or to a radio. Now, what you see right here is what I call the FX rack. So this is a virtual rack of plugins, which is the exact same thing as a physical rack of analog equipment. Okay, and it all works the same. It all works according to signal flow. So what you have, and what you do is you set up tracks. So I have 2 tracks in here with a master out, and the rig. I have one on the rig for RX audio processing for the Sun. And I have my microphone, which is this one. This is the rack right here. So I can open up the plugins. So this is the tube saturator, and this is the new plugin I'm running. And hold on for a second, I got it. My voice is really okay. This is the tube saturator, and I'll show you. This is the EQ, EQ 31. So I've got an EQ in here. Got a multi-band limiter. All right, which really isn't doing anything right now. I rolled the gain back a little bit to kind of, take the edge off a little bit. My audio seems a little low, so I'll bump that up. Like I said, my voice is a little rough around the edges. There we go. That's a little bit better. Hopefully it's not distorting or anything. And then we have a compressor. This is adds a little bit of compression. All these same things that you get in a rack. This is what's called the modern exciter. All right, this is not the same thing as an Aphex 204. This basically has high and low controls with a balance, which does kind of have an effect on things. If you roll it to the right to max, it kind of flattens it out. You roll it to the left, it gets a little punchier. But this, an Aphex 204 has a capability to adjust harmonics. So you have a tune function on an Aphex 204, like a frequency tune, to set the center frequency where you want it to affect the most, have the most effect. And then you have a harmonic adjustment. Very, very powerful unit. This does not have that. Far inferior. It works okay. I use this. This is a De-Esser, and this kind of keeps the high end from going into that real trashy sibilance area where it starts almost to distort and stuff, Going down here, we've got this. See, here is one of the issues between a rack and a DAW. This is technically an expander, but I'm running it as a downward expander. And what this does is a downward expander. In ham radio, you do not want to run an expander because what it does is it will pick up more of the background noise in the shack, and it'll come right through your audio into the microphone and just make a huge mess, right? So what I do is I use this set to a downward expander, and what that does is, like, I can have my amplifier running. I've got two fans running with the blower on the amplifier, and the amplifier is only, 18 inches away. And you can't even hear it running in the microphone. That's the power of the downward expander, and that's great for ham radio because it keeps your audio really nice and quiet. It's great for anything. Keeps your audio really quiet, though. Finally, we have a gate, and what this does is it chops the audio. It opens when I start talking, and it closes when I stop talking, just like this. So when I start talking, you notice it goes quiet. There's nothing, and the gate is also a very powerful tool. Finally, I've got a little reverb put in here, and you always want your reverb last in the chain because if you place the reverb in before the gate, it'll cut the reverb off. You see what I mean? There's a method to the madness where all of the plugins are placed, and it works exactly the same way on a physical rack. So let me get this out of here. And let me jump back into the chat. Okay. And that is Cakewalk, by the way, James. That's called Cakewalk by Band Labs. It's free. You can download it. and the link to that information will be on the site. The link to my site will be in the description of this video. Once it goes, it actually may already be there. You may want to check. I think it is already there. Okay, looking at replacing the rack with Persona Studio 24C. Don't know anything about that. Tin Top, and I can't remember your name. I'm so sorry, dude. Duncan. Maybe you were the one that emailed me with a comment. I think it kind of sounded like a question, but I think it was more. No, you did have a question, right? Maybe you were the one that asked that question, whether you should go virtual or see the Persona Studio. I don't know what that is. See, I've gotten away from the rack stuff. You can spend an awful lot of money on the rack stuff. So, don't know. I really couldn't answer that for you. I guess I can tell you about the DAWs. Racks are great. However, you have to take into account RF ingress. There's a lot of cabling that goes into a rack. That's one thing I'm always very concerned about is RF. Now, I don't have RF in the shack. I'm very anal retentive about anything coming back in here. If I hear anything, if I see anything coming back in here, I don't even transmit. I shut everything down and I go fix it. James, yeah, if you have Cakewalk, hit the website. I'm going to do an update here probably tomorrow morning. I may do it tonight and upload the new CWP. And I walk through exactly how to make that work. Get the plugins installed. If you download the CWP and open it, it will open the exact setup that I have, and then you can go in and tweak it. And it's a good starting point, but you're going to have to fuss with it because the EQ is going to be all different. Your microphone's different. Your voice is different. You see what I'm saying? And it's a very easy way to play with it. I figured I'd make it as easy as possible for people. Okay. Mikey. How you doing, Mike? John. NALLC. Okay. Godfather posted something I've duplicated. Steve's DAW with the same plugins and sound card. Yeah. K6 SUD. This is an AKG P220. It's a condenser. And I used to run a CAD GXL 2200. Now, this is something you mentioned the mics, and Dave as well. I have played with, it wasn't a bad mic. It's actually like an industry standard mic. I'm sure everybody's heard of a Shure SM58. Now, here's something else as well. Large diaphragm studio condensers are usually very sensitive. So the problem with them, there's one issue with them, and that is, excuse me, they are, how do I say this? They're extremely hot. They sound awesome, but they're extremely hot, right? So a lot of guys will jump to a dynamic. Now I try in let's say a Shure SM58. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Industry standard, been around for 40 years. I don't know. Remember back 15, 20 years ago, anytime you saw someone on stage, they had an SM58 in their hand, made by Shure. So I tried one of those. I didn't like it compared to something like this. It still sounds pretty good. On a conventional rig, it would sound fine. I'm kind of talking to referring to studio grade audio through like one of the full-blown SDRs, like Flex, Anon, Sun, stuff like that. I will tell you, a mic will make or break your audio. Anybody who says a mic doesn't matter is full of crap. Stake my life on that one. A mic has to be, it's a tormenting thing. It has to be tailored to your voice. I'll give you a perfect example. When I was running the rack, in that story I was telling you at the start of this whole thing, I wasn't running this microphone. I was running the GXL 2200, and I see my picture is all out of whack there, so I'll fix that. That mic is an incredibly good mic for a voice like mine with Rack Gear. And it would probably sound fantastic in the DAW as well. Beautiful. It just has this quality to it that, and I paid $60 for that thing new. Probably the best bang for the buck on the freaking planet. Hot mic though. The one drawback to the CAD is that the internal dampening, it does have a shock mount, but I can tell you that mic would pick up like vibrations from the blower on the amp. And keep in mind, I mean, I'll pick it up and I'll show you what it looks like. Pick it up. That is set it down gently so I don't blow your speakers up. That is a cast iron base with no padding sitting right on the desk. And yet this mic is dampened, and check out the shock mount on it. This thing is like, the freaking shock mount is like billet aluminum, solid, and incredibly robust. But not just that, the internal dampening, which I never really considered before, very important on the microphone. So you've got shock mount, which dampens the microphone from vibrations and other stuff going on. But you have internal dampening as well, how the element is dampened, isolated. And I can tell you that this stinking thing, this P220, is a monster. It's not small, it's big, and it's wicked heavy. But it is dampened beautifully. I mean, I can type on the keyboard, and it doesn't even open the gate. And literally, I have the base of it up against the keyboard. That's how well this mic is dampened. So there's a couple things to consider when it comes to microphones. Dynamics are great. You may have to do a little bit of fussing. I talked to a guy yesterday morning. He was running a $12 microphone and a $12 dynamic. Now I've heard a $12 dynamic on an Elecraft K3S, and it sounded amazing. It actually sounded really good. It was made by, I don't know, Samson or CAD or something like that. Just a cheap old dynamic. And I heard one yesterday, and it was an absolute atrocity. So with $12 microphones, it can get a little squirrely. Don't be afraid to try it. I would money comes down to money. Do what you can afford. If you can't get the $12 microphone to work well and sound good, let's say in a 3 kilohertz bandwidth, 100 to 2.8 kilohertz, 2.9 kilohertz. If you can't get that to sound good, it's the microphone, okay? It's either going to sound good or it's not. And if it's not going to sound good, hey, see you, John. Have a good evening, man. Nice to see you. So if you can't get it to sound good no matter what you do, scrap it. Move on to something else, I would say. Used stuff is good. What is it? I think W4ZXT, this was a few years ago, he picked up a used for pennies on the dollar, and it's a really good microphone. It was an AKG C4, no. What is that called? Oh, shoot. I can't remember the model number. It was an expensive microphone. You didn't pay hardly anything for that. And it's a good mic. It's a studio condenser. It's like an industry standard. James, I would try that, James. Oh, an SM7B. I'm not sure what that is. SM7B. I'll look it up. It's on the screen. I know that number. I've been out of the industry for so long. Let's see. SM7B. Oh, that's the one I thought it was. Oh God, I would try and run that. Absolutely. I'd put that thing to work, dude. Okay. So, Vito. Workstations. Let me think about this because I want to be, I don't want to scare anybody because there's no need to be nervous about this. So, workstations. There's one reason I use Cakewalk. Okay, now 3 days ago, was it 3 days? Yeah, it wasn't yesterday. 3 days ago, I went looking for other free DAWs, right? And they suck. They suck. Cakewalk is free. I played with Waveform and I played with another one. I can't remember the name of it. And terrible. One of them I couldn't even make work. I couldn't figure it out. I was watching tutorials and stuff. And I'm like, good God, could you just show me how to load an effects rack into the stupid thing? Nothing was intuitive. Now, maybe it's because I'm used to Cakewalk. I don't know. Hey, James, South London. And I'll tell you where I'm going with this. So, Cakewalk, one, I'm familiar with it, so I am jaded. I admit it. However, one, it's free. Two, it's incredibly passive on CPU. One of the best. And the reason why I say that is because several years ago, I used to record tracks on the drums right behind me back here with an old Acer laptop. I kid you not, from 2008 with Cakewalk on it, running a Tascam 1641 sound card, running at 44.1. Never once, and I recorded 8 tracks at once on overdubs and putting drum parts in with an Acer laptop running Cakewalk. Kid you not. Never once had an issue. Never. So it's an incredibly passive piece of software. If you've got an i3, it'll run it. If you got an i5, it'll run it. An i7, i9, it doesn't matter. It'll run it. If it doesn't run it, you got something wrong with the computer. I'm telling you. So, don't be scared of, you may say, well, I don't have a computer that can handle that. Now here's the catch. It depends also on the rig you're running. So let's say you're running a standalone rig. Let's say you've got a FTDX10 or a 7300 or a 101D or 991A or anything sitting there and you want to pipe audio into it. Well, that rig is not computer dependent, but there are some rigs like the Sun. I have a Sun SDR2 DX here. That software runs at about 1% to 2%, believe it or not. The most passive SDR software I've ever seen in my entire life. Guys run them on a mini PC, a micro PC. That's how passive they are. I challenge you to do that with an Anon. My Apache, now this computer, let me see if I can get this straight. This rig is an i7 9700 Coffee Lake running at, I think, 4.6 to 4.8 gig, 32 gigs of RAM. Don't ask me the bus, I can't remember. All solid state drives. It's not the latest, greatest at this point, but it's no slouch. It can do a lot of heavy lifting. Thetis runs anywhere from 8% CPU. This is for the Apache Lab software to run the Anon. 8%, and I see it spike to 20%. 20% is huge on this computer. That is about the most tasking software I've ever seen in my life. Insane. SDR console runs about 3.5% on this computer. So the Sun SDR2 DX runs about, floats between 1% and 2%. Might see it bump to 3% every once in a great while. So yeah, depends on what you're running as far as the rig. If you're running, let's say you're running a 7300 and you got the Dream 7300 setup like I have, and I'll admit it, it is a dream setup, man. SDR console as the front end, it rivals, it actually beats the Sun as far as quiet. It doesn't have quite the dynamic range, but it's actually better than a $2,500 radio on the front end. It's phenomenal with like a $150 dongle, right? So you got SDR console running and you want to bring virtual audio into your rig. No problem. Any computer will do that, pretty much. All going all the way back to 2008. Console runs at about 2 to 3% on an i7. You'll probably see maybe 6 to 8%, maybe 10% on an older computer. And then you've got Cakewalk running, which is not a big deal. See, the issue with Cakewalk comes into play when you start recording. So let's say you've got 8 tracks or 10 tracks or 16 tracks, right? And they're all playing. And then you're going to cut a drum part with 8 tracks simultaneously going in. That's where things can get ugly. But like I said, I could do it with an old Acer laptop. That's 2008. That's 14 years old? And it was an old piece of crap. I finally blew it up. The CPU I think the fan went out or the CPU cooked on it, and that was it. It's still over there on the shelf. So, So that's pretty much it for the, I figured I'd give you some examples. I want to take some of the fear out of this. You know, you don't need ridiculous computers to play this game. At all. At all. I can tell you you can get into a sound card for $45, a decent sound card. I actually ordered one just because I wanted to order one. This will be number 4. You know, it's a little half pint Behringer. Sweet little card, man. I got a friend, Glenn, he's got a Behringer, loves the thing to death. It's been a great card for him. So I bought the half pint. It's like the UM2 or something like that. It's like the baby brother to the big one. Excuse me. It's like $45. So it's got phantom power on it. You plug a microphone, if it's a condenser, into it. Boom. Bada boom, bada bing. You're off and running. Process your audio, feed it to Cakewalk, process your audio, take an analog line out, boom. Make up an adapter, plug your Heil cable into the back of the sound card, and dump your audio straight into the rig. There you go, man. You got an instant rack for $45. Think about that. Compared to $1,500 to $2,000 to get the same stuff you've got in the friggin' DAW. It's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one. Anyways, let me just check one more time. What's the time? I don't think anybody else. Yep, been going 40 minutes. So I'll let it hang here, and then I'm going to go ahead and sign out. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any. Yeah, if you guys wanted to know what I look like when I was shooting a wedding, take off the suspenders. This is what I look like. Freaking monkey suit boy. I don't miss that for a second. Blech. Blech. Puke. Weddings are overrated. Whatever. All right, we'll let it hang. I will give it to 1 minute. I figure everybody who's in here is in here, and let me just check the status of, so there are 16 current viewers, and total playback's 91, and it's been fairly consistent, so good. That's actually a good thing. 91, 92 playbacks, and current viewers at 16. So, or actually 12 concurrent viewers, so people are kind of sliding in and out. Oh my God. Dave, you're a sick man. James, everything is on the website. Everything is on the website. Use the link. Let me just let me put it right in here so you can click on it and go, but it's in the description on this video. So let's do this. We'll post it in here. And there you go, man. It's everything you need to know. Now, keep in mind, there are some updates coming. I think I did put the tube saturator on there, so I think that's on there. All the other links to the downloads for the plugins are there. I explain exactly how to install them. And what I will do tonight is I will reload my CWP file to Google Drive, and I will post a link to that on the website in the DAW area. I'll update that so that CWP will be updated. So you can just download that and then literally drag it to your desktop. If Cakewalk is installed and the plugins are all installed, here's the catch. You got to make sure the plugins are installed and Cakewalk sees them. You click that CWP and it will open Cakewalk with everything that I've got in it. Done. So then all you have to do is go through each plugin and start setting everything up. And remember, when you're setting all this up, see you, Vito. We'll hopefully chat tomorrow. Look for you, brother. The Godfather. So remember, don't skip around in the plugin chain. You never start in the middle, or you never start at the second one down. And I'm talking, this is layman's terms for people who have never done this before. So always start from the top down. It's just like water down the drain. So plug your mic in, talk into the mic, set your drive level, your input gain on the preamp. Go to Cakewalk, make sure you don't have a clip light on the preamp. Set that to, you don't need much, anywhere from -5 to -10 dB. Remember 0 dB in the digital realm is clipping. So once you reach 0 dB, that's it. Don't go above that. There is a little bit of headroom, but don't do it. And then go through each plugin all the way down and start adjusting each one. And remember, if you make a change to a plugin, let's say the third one down and you've got 7 plugins in the list. If you make a change to that one plugin, you're going to have to go to plugin 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and reset all of those gains. Sometimes you can get lucky and not do it, but more often than not, no. You have to go through and you have to reset all the gains going down because you just changed the plugin, and what's being output out of that one plugin is different than what it was before. So you have to remember that. Don't cheat that because you'll rip your freaking hair out. And the problem is something will go to clip and you won't see it. You won't know it. Somebody say, "Yeah, man, you got, something's on your audio. It's all distorted or whatever." So I think that's it. All right, gang. We will catch up with you later. And have a good night. And thanks for stopping by. We'll look for you next week. I will do this next Sunday. And just a heads up, I will do it earlier for our folks in the UK and different parts. The only people that will suffer will be like VKZL, but I don't think there's any VK or ZL in here. And okay, it's a very good question, John, and you're welcome. Duncan, all the rest of you guys, thanks for participating. I really appreciate it. And hopefully it helped some folks. So John, really quick, ONAEI. I'll tell you how I do it. I have a SPI server here. So what I do, which is basically a web SDR. So what I do is I light that thing up and I disconnect the antenna. I put my radio in a dummy load and then I light up SDR sharp and I load up my SPI server in SDR sharp. And I can listen. It's got a huge delay on it, because it's all going through the internet and everything. But it gives me a good idea. Web SDRs can be your friend in this arena. So as you're playing, you can use the monitor and the radio, but it doesn't give you the full picture, the full story. Hit a web SDR if you can. Find one that's local to you for the given band you're on, and try that. Even if you're not playing this game, that's actually, I should say that. Even if you're not playing in this realm or not playing this game, web SDRs are valuable. You don't need to use them just for listening to other people. Check your audio. Make sure everything's okay. It's great. That's what they're there for. So, all right. 7-3, everybody. Catch you later. See you next week. I'll be around. I'll probably be pushing videos and streams throughout the week anyway. So, but this is a very targeted topic, and I appreciate all your participation. See ya.